Yes, we are live. Welcome again to a hangout with Jennifer Nearance with the Academy of Holistic Healing.com and my dear friend Michaela Kennedy. Michaela, good to see you today.
Great to see you, Jennifer. How are you today? I'm here. I'm starting my own business by starting to put a banner at the bottom.
Very good. Okay.
There we go. Can you see it?
Yes, you are there.
Yay. I apologize ahead of time. My feathered buddy over there is doing a lot of foghorn noises and stuff, so I think I'm going to start calling him Foghorn Leghorn.
There you go. No worries. That's one of the things about you and I is this is life. This is us. We're not putting on a pretty face. We're not putting on a veneer. You're seeing the real thing. And this is where we are. This is where we're coming from. This is our life. And we still have goals and dreams and passions and businesses and life. And this is it. We don't go to an office. We're not hidden behind closed doors. This is where we operate from, the good, the bad, the ugly. And I just
I love it.
I appreciate that because this is real life that so many people try to hide, and you can't because it's waiting for you around every corner.
Exactly. Well, you're touching. That's what a lot of home business people are doing. Home businesses are beginning to run the country.
Yeah.
They are growing in leaps and bounds. The people that have figured out the method of how to move forward and find their passion and they step into their power are running incredible things from their home. Mm-hmm. And you can look at Steve Jobs and all those big guys. They all started from their homes, from their garages.
Yeah, exactly. And for those of us that don't have garages, there's still hope. It's not a prerequisite.
Exactly. I can remember when I lived in Hawaii, I really wanted to do windsurfing, so I put out the effort. I spent a lot of months figuring it all out and taking a couple of lessons from some friends, and I got out there, and lo and behold, a year later, I had a job teaching windsurfing. And I can remember so many people watching me on the beach saying, oh my God, I could never do that, and I could never, and I know there are certain skills that I was learning that I thought I'll never get that skill, and there was a Hawaiian fellow that said to me, hey, you've got to put your heart into it. It's all comes from the heart. And it's not about comparing. It's about knowing that every master starts as a beginner.
Yes.
So
yes.
You can't, Steve Jobs did not start in a high-rise, beautiful, multi-million-dollar office.
Mm-hmm. And then you can choose wherever you operate from.
Exactly.
That's the fabulous thing. That's the thing that I appreciate the most because, we all do start from very similar places, and getting to a point where you can choose where you want to continue operating from is very empowering. It doesn't have to look any particular way, especially when you stop comparing and you stop using others as your measuring stick, but using yourself as your measuring stick. Where are you now compared to where you were yesterday, last week, last month, last year? And that's how you that's my personal opinion on how I track my progress. Where am I compared to where I was? And if I were to compare myself to other people, my feeling about myself would change depending on who I was looking at. Because some people I'm much further ahead than. Other people I'm kind of going, oh, wait, we're not even on the same pathway. And it doesn't matter.
And it's okay. It's okay.
It is. And, boy, we have been all over the map already in just in the 15
Well,
minutes that you
you
and I
know,
have been
it's yeah,
talking.
yes, it's funny. And for the first 5 minutes here that we've been live, um, even though we seem like we're jumping all over the place, it's all leading into today's theme, isn't it,
Yes, it
Jennifer?
is, because it may have different words and different filters and different flavors. It all comes back to the same thing. So the limiting belief is you've got to have money to make money. And I was sharing with Michaela, and this is true transparency here on when I was first looking at this list months ago of the top 10 limiting beliefs. I saw this one: you have to make money to have, you have to have money to make money. No, that's this. Why is that on the list? And then this morning, this whole week has been absolutely crazy. And this morning, as I was going through the list, it's like, okay, so which one are we doing? And I fell on the you have to have money to make money. And I was calm enough when I was going through the list. I heard in my head, my yeah, but was, well, that's true. So why would we want to discuss that? That there's nothing wrong with that. That's a truth. And I went, oh my God. No wonder it hasn't been discussed yet, because it was there, right in front of my face, saying, no, 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 this is truth. It's okay. All of the examples of, you have to go to a class to learn something. You have to have the money to pay for the class to learn something to be able to make money. Do you? Well, yeah, of course you do. You can't invest in anything unless you have the money to invest in the first place. But then when you stop and think about it, the examples that you gave out, Steve Jobs, did he have the money when he first started, or did he find other people to help share his dream? He found people because he was speaking from his heart. He was sharing his dream, his passion, his goal, and he enrolled other people in that same dream. So he didn't have to have money to make money, to start his empire. He had to have the belief, the passion. And it's fascinating when you start really peeling these open. You can say that you believe that this is a truth or not truth. We're going to go with, I can say with my mind, yes, I can say with my mind that the belief of you have to have money to make money is simply not true. You can say that with your mind. But in your heart, and I'm going to use myself as the example, in my heart, I believed that you have to have money to make money. And as I started to peel that away, why do I believe that? What is it about that statement that I hold in my heart, in my cellular structure, in my physicality? I hold that to be true. Why is that? And the example of, you have to pay for classes to learn skills to then turn into an income source. You have to have money to invest in stocks and bonds in order to get a return from that. You have to have all of these things. You have to have money in order to build on it. But that isn't actually the truth. The truth is, it is a belief in self, the belief in what you're doing, the passion, the heart behind what it is you're wanting to do that needs to be there prior to the launching. Because when you can enroll people in what you believe in, they want to become a part of it. And if you can say,
yes, there's the attraction.
yes, I've got this, 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 and this. What I need is the capital to get it started. Can you invest in me? That's only a small part of it.
Yeah.
You have to have the belief in self to be able to say that. Then the fun part is you have to be able to receive. You have to be willing to actually believe that you are worth investing in. So even though the belief is you've got to have money to make money, peel that back and it is a quagmire of interesting things, all of which start with being able to see.
Oh, wait.
What?
before you get into the quagmire, I would like to share with everybody, because you've said it a few times here, and I want everybody to know that when Jennifer, presented the money theme that we have, I ran into my deep, dark closet of treasures, and I pulled this book out. Can you read it? It says, "The trick to money is having some." And there he is, Stuart Wilde. Stuart Wilde has been, I've been carrying him around in my suitcase for 25 years now. And the interesting thing about this is it's everything that you just said. That this is what everybody says. Well, you have to have some money to invest. You have to, but once you start believing, and this is about everything that we've been doing since the very beginning of these hangouts, about the self-limiting beliefs themes that we're dealing with, every single one of them is about recognizing the opportunity and grasping it in front of you, and realizing that the more you put out, the more that kind of energy comes toward you. And this is what Stuart talks about. He says, if you see a penny on the street, pick it up. If you see something that is valuable, don't walk by it. He said, we see it all the time. The strange thing about it is, when I first read this, I was really loving feathers. This is before I ever had a bird. And strangely enough, I suddenly started picking up feathers all over the streets of Tokyo. I would walk down the street and 5 feathers would be blown into my path. And as I started to create this big jar of feathers, that was when the bird flew onto my shoulder. And he was a little budgie, and I took him home, and he was my friend for 4 years. So things grow, and they are alive, and they are messengers, and we have these spirit birds, as it were, that we send the message out, and it flies back to us exponentially.
Yes, seriously. And
so
that goes,
pick up those pennies. And
yes,
recognize the opportunities, right?
And
yes,
and it goes. When you succeed at something, whether you
we're back
get
to the
it,
yes and. No more
yes, and it all comes back to
and
acknowledging yourself for the successes that you have. The being aware that acknowledging of self for successes, no matter how small or how big, acknowledging, taking that moment to say, yes, I did it. I set a goal and I completed it. My goal was to walk for 5 minutes, and I did it. Yay! And build on it. Pretty soon, to people about things that are important to you. And I know this is a very simplistic view, and I see it day after day after day. You start to build up yourself. You start to work on yourself. You start to do your own stuff.
Right.
You start allowing your heart to open. You start cutting yourself some slack. You start appreciating the gifts that you bring that no one else does. It's just you. It's your voice, your gifts, your talents. Your ability to make a difference in the person that you walk past by simply being the amazingness of you. Once you can start really owning that, pretty soon that passion comes out of your mouth. And people are going, wow, that's awesome. How can I help you? Then being able to say, well, I need this. We're down to this one. This is what I need. This is what I can offer in return. Are you willing to, the words you wrote. It seems like a digression, but it really is just steps on the path. And what does that have to do with the belief, the mindset of you've got to have money to make money? Everything. You have to have belief in yourself in order to make something of yourself.
Right.
You have to have belief. Go ahead.
I'd like to share it's funny, when I was younger, I never, that particular, even though, after I got this book, even before I got this book, I think that my mind was a little bit askew to what a lot of other people were thinking. A lot of people dream about what they're going to do, get the right job, get the right career, start the family and everything. And all I could think of was traveling. All I could think about was adventures in the world. That's all I could think about. So that's what I started doing. I went off and did it. And every time I met a lot of people with the same kind of thing, thinking, well, I have to. I have to spend all this money to learn how to do something. I have to spend the money to get the certificate. And when I got outside of the United States, I came to realize that many other cultures value someone's personal experience a lot more than that certificate. The certificate comes secondary to the experience. And when I realized that, I thought, I don't want to spend money doing what I love. I want to be paid doing what I love. Yes. And I met many people who put themselves into bankruptcy because they were spending money on sailing lessons, spending money on boats, bigger, better, and they would put all these investments into their yachting experience. I never did. I started yacht racing when I was a young adult, maybe like 18, 20, and I never had to pay because millionaires always need somebody on their boats to help them to sail them. And I moved that into becoming a deckhand. And I was a deckhand. I worked as a deckhand, as a first mate, assistant the captain. I worked as a cook. All of these on very expensive, beautiful yachts. Uh-huh. And I got paid for it. I got paid good money for it. And I was having the time of my life. And that was only one experience. Another one was the, you name it, people spend a lot of money to take writing classes. I just started writing and submitting stories and started getting them published and getting paid for them. Mm-hmm. So when you have that confidence, that inherent confidence, and you realize there are opportunities out there, you can grasp them.
Yes.
And my parrot is just, I have to go get him. Hold on.
Okay. Well, that kind of goes hand in hand with my path on helping people with their perspective of themselves, of their world, of their life, of their choices, of their capabilities, of their blocks, of their skills. And the number of times that I've been asked, well, why don't you go back and get your degree in social work? Or why don't you get your degree in psychology? Or why don't you get, because that's not what I want to do. I don't want to be in a classroom unless there's one of me and hundreds of you. I've spent my time in the chair looking at the professor, and there's this. Please hear this as I'm meaning it. There's very little that the person up in the front of the class is going to teach me at this point because of the experience that I've had with working with the wide range of people that I have. And is that saying that I know more than them? No. They've got great book knowledge. You want me to tell you what mindset comes from which philosopher? Can't do it. And I can share with the words that will trigger something in you which will allow you to grow beyond your wildest expectations.
And don't get us wrong, because both of us have got college educated. We have a lot of respect for certification. We get a lot of respect for higher education, but
absolutely.
Just think about where that takes you. If you want to go into the corporate world and you know that you need a certificate and you need to get the job, because that's what higher education teaches, is the job, or the profession, a doctor, lawyer, whatever. If you need that certification, go for it. Mm-hmm. But stop for a moment and really make sure that's what you want, because I remember coming home on a visit from Tokyo, And I was telling my mother how much I was enjoying writing, and I was sending her my articles every week, and I was very excited about the kind of writing that I was doing. And when I got home, she said, you know, if you like writing so much, why don't you take some courses in writing? And why don't you get like maybe a master's in writing or something like that? I said, well, Mom, why would I do that? And she said, well, so that you can get a job in writing. And I said, well, I already have 2 columns that I get paid regularly for, and I do I do stringer work, which is information gathering for Newsweek, and I have already published a couple of. So I get paid for all of that, so I'm still not quite sure what the point is here. And she stopped, and I don't think that we even continued on. But again, you know, many people, the kind of writing that you learn is a very specific writing, and they're going to teach you how to be a professor so you can turn around and teach people how to write.
Right.
It's you know, learning how to teach. Yeah, if you already have a talent, if you already have something that an expertise that you know that you can do, or maybe you haven't even realized that you have that expertise, write down all the things you're good at, and write down the things that you're really good at, and then maybe consider that people would pay you for that kind of expertise.
Yes, and going back to this actually does play in nicely with you've got to have money to make money, because if you are enjoying writing and you really want to make money writing, but you think you need to invest in some writing courses, we're going to use that as an example. What you may find out is if you simply really love to write and there's a particular genre that you like to write, start researching, finding out who has guest blogging positions, where are there options to submit articles or submit short stories or things like that, and find out whether your writing right now is good enough. Where you don't actually have to take the class. You are actually passionate enough about what you're doing that you can start doing it and getting paid without having to take that next, or that what you thought was that next step of learning something new, investing more in order to make more, and see what happens when you step out and you actually believe in yourself and you put yourself out there and start doing the doing instead of learning how to do the doing. Just go and do it. And I know that is very simplistic, and yet it all starts with a mindset shift and then the first step. And you and I have talked over and over and over about how to take those first steps, how to get to a place where you can step outside yourself, about being able to identify where your comfort zone is, and then stepping just beyond the comfort zone so that you go into a totally unknown realm where everything that you're trying to create exists, is right beyond those boundaries.
Yes.
We know what's here. We don't really like what's here, or we want something else that's not here yet. We got it. We understand. We're appreciative of this. And let's see what's out here. But it takes Herculean effort, it seems, to go beyond this boundary to where those things that we really want to manifest and create and experience actually live. So one of the things that I've been doing this last week is I have revamped the Academy. And there is a resource page in there that has has hangouts. And it's going to have each week what the title is. It's going to have a link to a page that is going to have the video as well as any of the handouts that we've gotten, so that there's going to be a centralized place for people to go and see all the different hangouts and what the topic is, and so that they're going to be able to have everything that they need.
Yeah, so keep in mind that what we have done for the last 2 months really started out as an experiment. And now that we're getting toward the end of the 2 months, the 10 weeks that we dedicated these weekly hangouts to, we realize that we have a lot of very valuable content that so far has been out there for free, but it won't be available forever. It's
No.
only available for a limited time. And this is going to be going behind closed doors, and it's going to be part of how we go deeper with our inner circle.
Hmm. Yes, it is. And you know what I'm finding fascinating is when people hear about the top 10 limiting beliefs, and I'm going to use myself as an example because there's some of them, like the one today where I said that at first it's like, well, that's silly. Why would that be? When I've been talking to people or people have been coming back to me with questions, they will go, well, I was looking at that and it didn't seem like it was really anything that I was suffering from or limited by until I listened to you guys. And then I was going, oh my gosh, I can see where that plays in here and there and here, and oh my God, and what do I do? And then you gave us tips and tricks on how to move past it. She goes, at first when I was listening to you, you guys really didn't seem to follow any particular plan until I got to the end, and then it all clicked, and I'm going, oh my God, I did have that, and now I can see how it was stopping me, and I've moved past it, and oh my God, do you guys realize what you're doing?
Yeah, we
Answer
do.
that. Do I put on my sarcastic witch hat and say, well, no?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we could all get sarcastic and everything else, but we get used to that's really funny. That's so funny because we really are approaching things in a nonlinear way, and that's very right-brained. And it doesn't mean that you cannot have a business or you cannot get something accomplished because you're right-brained. It just means that you do it a different way. Do you remember the book Writing on, I think it's Writing on Both Sides of the Brain or Writing on the Right Side of the Brain? I can't remember what the name of it is right now. But instead of putting together a list, an action list, you'd create a mind map where things would go off. And we're talking, oh gosh, we're talking 25, 28 years ago now. I remember a friend of mine saying to me, a very dear friend of mine in Tokyo, looked at me, and all of a sudden he started laughing. And I said, what's the matter? And he said, sometimes you really drive me crazy because you're always telling stories. And I always wonder, what the hell is she telling me this story for? And where is she going with it? She goes, but when I listen to your story, when I actually have the patience to listen to your story, you always wrap it up with the meaning, and I get it.
Uh-huh.
And at first, I mean, I was only in my 20s at that time, and I, typical Irish storyteller that I am, I'm 100% Irish heritage. It's within my blood that we tell stories.
Oh my God.
Stories is the way we connect, the way we make sense of it, and the way we touch people's hearts, and we can align ourselves. And we may be going all over the place. It may seem like that, but exactly when you stop and let go of those judgments, which are self-limiting beliefs, because we've learned how to do something, we start unlearning and looking at things from a different perspective, we have a lot more aha moments.
Yes. Yep. And that is so very true. So many of the times it's not what we need to learn to go forward. It's what we need to unlearn in order to be allowed to go forward.
Yes, and what we need to, or realize, yes. And realize, I should say, because there's a lot there we need to unlearn.
Yes, yeah, there is. And this happens to be one of them. And my head keeps going back to it to repeat the same thing over and over and over again. And I don't know if that's to open the door to another possibility. I don't know if it's because it needs to be repeated again. But the mindset, the belief, the limiting belief, and I actually saw a recent study that was done that puts it in the top 4. That you've got to make money, or you've got to have money to make money. And I'm still looking at that.
I love it.
Okay, so if it's not just the belief in self, and the belief or the experience that the majority of people, business owners, entrepreneurs, corporate people have had, where you have to invest in something to increase your bottom line. What else is there? I mean, there's got to be another piece there, or is it really that simple?
Well, you know what? I want to stop right there, because that right there gave me the aha moment.
Excellent.
Recently, we've heard a lot of people who are very frustrated. Everyone's talking about the shiny object syndrome, and stop buying the shiny objects and stop going from things to things. And that within itself becomes a virus, because what happens is we realize we've spent all this money, and there are two failure directions that can take us. One is to blame the people we gave the money to, or blame the institution we gave the money to for not teaching us right or not giving us the right tools, or we blame ourselves for wasting our money. Not realizing that with all of that, it's always that final fantasy that we're missing, and that final fantasy is the action. It's like, now you know it, now you do it, now you've already spent that money and you got something valuable. Take it to the next level. That's your final fantasy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Do the action.
Yes, and which then goes back to the believing in self.
Right, exactly. And
fascinating.
We know many people, the vast majority of startup businesses out there fail. The vast majority, many, look at the high divorce rate of people within the first year of divorce, because they don't want to move. It's always like, what am I getting out of it, rather than what do I need to do to take it to the next level.
Right.
So it's what we are doing.
I'm sorry, this is not anything to do with what we're talking about, but that shocked me, what you just said about the high number of divorces within the first year. It's like, do people not understand that relationships take work? Your business takes work. Life takes work. Everything. Relationship with self requires work. Relationship with anybody in your life relationship with plants takes work.
Yes, if it is love, we can not that we have, because it's not. I see that the love and the relationships and those kind of things, the personal, intimate relationships, we haven't talked about that, and there's been a reason for that, because that is just one cog in the entire wheel. Mm-hmm. It's relationship with everything. Relationship with your car. How many times have we been pissed off at our car, and then all of a sudden everything breaks on it?
Yeah. So and what that brought for me, Michaela, is that you and we deal with the relationship, the foundational relationship, and that's our relationship with self. Because until that one gets more...
the universal relationship, the foundational relationship, the relationship with universe, with everything. Yeah. I remember one time somebody said to me, "Do you have to find the cosmic significance in everything?" And I thought, yeah. Yeah. Why not? Why not?
That's funny, because people go, God, does it always come back to me? It's like, well, yeah. Yeah, actually, sorry, it does. We're walking around in this great big huge mirror. If you don't like what you're seeing, maybe you're supposed to turn around and look inside and go, Yeah. Is it a boundary thing? Is it a limiting belief thing? Is it a, oh my God, I actually am valuable, so I can expect that boundary to be there. I can put that boundary. No, it's not okay to treat me like this, because I've got enough self-respect to say no. It all comes back to self. So we do talk about relationship, just in a different sort of way. When you brought that up before we connected, that was...
Yeah. I would like to share something that Stuart that Stuart has said here. And it's right on the back. This is truly a great book. If it's still in print, get hold of it. I'm sure there are digital ones that are available for it. But I'm going to read it. He says, money making is not a serious business. It is a game that you play. At first, it may seem that it is a game that you play with forces outside yourself, the economics of the marketplace, so to speak. But as you proceed, you discover it is actually a game you play with yourself.
Very cool.
Jennifer, I found you after all these years, and this is what I've been carrying around with me for the last 25 years, and you just said it. It always comes back to me. It comes back to ourselves.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? I love the way these things work out. I just love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, I have to share what this last week has brought, because what you just brought up needs to settle. It needs to sift through. So I'm going to share what this last week has brought for me and see how many people can relate to this. I've paid someone to make my sales page, my landing page, my download page for the Banish Night Terrors in Your Children program. It is just about ready to go.
Great.
It was supposed to launch this week. Today's Thursday, would have been Tuesday. So it was supposed to launch yesterday. On Tuesday, when I was putting all the final touches on everything, we had all 3 of the computers in the house crash. Not 1, not 2, but all 3 of them. Now on my laptop, what ended up happening, and I still don't know what happened, I deleted all of the contents of my Dropbox, which I was in the process of uploading onto my site. I didn't have that information anywhere other than my Dropbox. So I have to start over on this product that was supposed to launch yesterday. And the great, amazing, fabulous, I was so excited to hear what was going on in my head. What I came back with was, isn't that interesting? I guess that means there was something missing that needs to be in there that wasn't there, that now I get to go find and put in the book. I wonder what it's going to look like now. And I was like, oh my God, if ever I had been written a blank check, get out of jail free card, this is the ultimate universe saying, this sucks, don't do it. I would have had it right there in my hand saying, see what happens? This never happens. For whatever reason, I'm getting a message that I'm not supposed to do this. It was more like, cool. I wonder what the end product is going to look like. I'm open to whatever it needs to change. And, okay, so my timeline is not your timeline. I got it. Okay. And to see the difference, not going into the immediate, I give up. I'm done. I can't do this. That wasn't there. Instead, it was replaced with this calm, wow, cool. I can't wait to see what comes out of this. So I was really excited because in the midst of all of the redistributing of the academy with all of the hangout stuff, getting the chakra class ready to launch, and in my head, it needs to be the Night Terrors needs to launch first and get that off my plate and get that out there because people have been asking me about it. Then the chakra class and then the packaging of the hangouts. But I'm realizing that may be not quite the order that it's supposed to go out in. So I'm taking a step back and I'm continuing to take my action steps and got my list and crossing things off my list and putting everything back together again. And being very aware and listening to, okay, so is this what's best for the market? Is this the message in tone, in the words that they're going to be the most receptive to be able to help them with their concern with their issue? Is this what's going to resonate with them best? So just a very interesting realization, and a patting myself on the back for all of the work that is now culminating in here, and showing up in reality. Because I could easily have just said,
screw it.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
And we've done that with many other projects, all of us.
Yeah.
It's human nature to do that, to just get so frustrated. But sometimes, not sometimes, but most often, the things that are most hard to get off the ground are the things that fly the highest.
Yes. Yeah. And they're also the ones, and see, it all for me always comes back. They're always the opportunity, and this is a definite, they're always the greatest opportunities for self-work. Where are the things that you're running into? What are the limiting beliefs? What are the misalignment with self? What are the I'm not worthy, or the doubting of your information, your knowledge, your passion? Where is that out of alignment with this whatever you're trying to take? So
I mean, so many times we find ourselves crying at the bottom of a wall because we can't figure out how to get up to the top of the wall, when if we had looked around, we might have seen the stairs.
I've even found a door on occasion that I didn't see before.
And it was an elevator.
Yeah.
And so many people are, they when they first start off, sure, I'm not knocking the lofty goals. You need to have that lofty goal. But it's just like we talked about the very first time we got together on these self-limiting beliefs, is that you need to tend your garden in order to have a crop. And so many people are like, wow, I want to make $10,000 a month online, and I don't know how to do it. And they start getting frustrated, and they start crying because they're not making it by the time, 6 months into it. How about making your first $100 online?
Yes.
How about making your first dollar online? Those, when you talk to the multimillionaires and you ask them where their major breakthroughs were, they will tell you it was when I first saw $6.35 in my PayPal account.
Yep.
and you realize, wow, this actually works.
Yes.
I'm in a mastermind with a group of professional women locally, and I told them, it was back the end of April, beginning of May. I told them beginning of May that by the end of June, I would have 500 visitors a day to a website that I'm creating in a particular niche. And they kind of looked at each other, and they looked at me. They're like, okay. And nobody was even trying to encourage me, because I could feel the waves of doubt that they were trying to throw at me through their minds. And lo and behold, at the end of June, I reported. I said, yes, I'm actually getting between 800 and 900 visitors a day to my site a day. I'm very excited about that. And they were like, wow. So last week, one of the women asked me, I said, well, what is your next goal? I said, well, my next goal, I said, I'm already starting to make money. I'm in the ad network. I started out with $5 a day, and then the second week I was making $10 and more a day. And I expect that to grow exponentially, and to the point where by the fall it will be bringing in $200 a day. And I saw her physically go like this. And she said, and what's your next goal? And I said, my next goal is 10,000 visitors a day to the website. And she went, well, you really should be realistic. Maybe by the fall you could maybe think about maybe 5,000 a day. And I said, okay. I said, I'll do 5,000. And I'll call you on it, and I'll do the extra because you just challenged me. So sometimes it's good not to always listen. Don't always listen to those naysayers, and don't listen to your own naysayer inside.
Exactly.
Find the opportunities. Look for those opportunities. Look for the relationship with yourself, and find out what needs to be brushed away and what needs to be grasped and polished.
Yes. Yes. And going back to what you said about the harvest, the farmer. Remember
Yes.
we were talking about, and you, God, you were so good. You got me. You got me. So for you out there, this is a conversation that went on behind the scenes. I was getting very, very frustrated at things not moving forward as fast as I felt they should. And Michaela, in her ultimate brilliance, she asked me, "So, do you have, a garden back on your back deck, or do you plant a herb garden or anything?" I said, "Well, yeah, I've got my tomatoes, and I've got my zucchini, and I've got my herb garden." And she goes, "So, do you have, flowers on your tomato plant?" I said, "Well, yeah, I'm so excited. I'm going to have tomato plants." She goes, "Well, do you like ever pull the flowers off the plant?" And I'm thinking, oh, is this a way to make it go into fruit even faster? What is this? What is this strange science she's got access to? I said, no, why? She goes, well, the farmer won't either, because it's not going to help it's not going to help the fruit grow any faster. You just have to be patient. Oh, man, I
You
now
don't
have fruit.
pull the seedlings out of the ground before your harvest.
No, you
You
just
don't do
keep
that.
watering. You just
You
keep
can
watering.
pull the weeds. You can
Yeah.
pull those weeds out, and you can nurture the ground, but
Yes.
don't pull
The
the
the proof of life.
positive, valuable stuff.
And so now I do have tomatoes growing. I think at the last count there were like 4 or 5. I've got one of them that's getting pretty big, and they're cool. It's an heirloom, so it's not the real smooth, real pretty one.
Mm,
It's got all the ridges, and the leaves have
yum.
got speckle. Oh God! And they're getting. I think
Mm.
they're purple. I actually think they're going to end up being a purple tomato, not the black ones,
Oh yeah.
but the purple ones. And the leaves are getting little speckles on them. Oh man, I am so excited. But it's just like our growth. It's just like our steps. It's just like our taking action little by little and doing the things, writing in our journal, meditating for 5 minutes, really allowing ourselves to dream about what it is that we want, attaching a feeling, a positive emotion to that thing that is pulling us forward. And day after day after day, doing these things with faith that it's going to eventually bear fruit, and seeing, oh my God, it's actually happening. Look, I've got fruit on my tomato plant. It's the same
Go
thing. And we
ahead, go
can see
ahead.
analogy
Rip
of
it out of the ground and see if it'll grow faster. Do it. No, no.
There was, you know what? There was a time when I used to be so stubborn that it's like, fine, you challenge me, I'll prove to you I can do it. I am so thankful to say that that is no longer the case in most instances. And it's funny to watch the next generation of me and my children and see them doing the same thing that I was. It's like, dude, I got to tell you, I've been there. You're like a little mini me. It really doesn't serve you. Trust me. And if you think you're going to be more stubborn than me, good luck with that one.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm exactly the opposite. I believe when somebody tells me it's not going to work, I believe them. It doesn't work. And if it had been 20 years ago and these women had told me that I wouldn't be able to reach out and get 1,000 visitors a day to my website, I would have believed them and I would have stopped. And I wouldn't have a couple $100 in my pocket right now either from it.
Wow.
So it's
Congratulations,
interesting,
Michaela.
how we've got both ends of the spectrum here. You can
Yes.
either be, like, does reverse psychology work on you, or are you gullible? Which is it? And somehow we learn to fine tune to find that balance.
Exactly.
Where we can believe enough in the possibilities and in the goal, and we can be skeptical enough to realize that it's not just blind faith getting us there. You got to do the work.
Yes, and one size does not fit all in anything. And I mean, there might be some. No, there's not. I have yet to find anything that one way works for everybody, because each person brings their own stuff to any process. And what seems very simple for one person may be impossible for another. And being able to look at the steps and then being able to connect with your own innate brilliance and be able to say, okay, so this is how I step, but that doesn't work in my situation, so how can I take a similar step and keep moving forward, still following the scaffolding of this plan without having it to be rigid and be a solid concrete bridge.
Right.
And we've been taught that there's one way, this is how I did it, so you have to do it this way. Really? No. And you and I have talked enough about different ways. There are some similarities. There are some outlines of basic words that mean basic things, but how you achieve that is limitless. For example, journaling. We bring it up a lot. Why? Because I'm sold. Anyway, it's critical for me to get my crap out of my head so that I can fill it up with brilliance, because what circles around in here is far from brilliant. It's got to get out to allow the universe to fill with the innate brilliance that wants to embody this body that is stuck with so much of my shit that I've got to get it out. So journaling, what does that look like? For me, it's not even pen anymore. It's pencil. It's lead pencil on paper, because you have to be mindful. You can't push too hard or you go through the paper or you break your lead. Nothing else.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, I'm getting chills.
So I have to be mindful. I have to be present, and it has to be manual. Typing's too easy. I can multitask and type and do blah, blah, blah. I have to be fully present. Other people can type their journals. Other people can speak their journals. Other people can draw pictures, and that's their journal. Some people do mind maps, and that's their journal. Fabulous. Just get it out of here into another medium so that your brain is free to be filled up with other brilliance.
Yeah. I'm gonna run and grab another book that we have talked about a number of times, and we're talking who does need. So I keep going. I'll be right back.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, well, the other thing that came to mind was the meditating, because you and I both have the same belief that meditation is an active sport. I call it a sport because it's kind of fun once you get into it. Meditating isn't going to take a nap. That's, be honest, you're taking a nap. But meditating is focusing on something, and you can even focus on the concept of nothing. You're still actively concentrating on something. And a friend of mine challenged me in a good way to one of the things to do for a meditation is 30 minutes staring at a blank wall and just allowing whatever's going to come out, because I was suffering from a serious blocking of creative ideas. No matter how much I wrote, no matter how much meditation otherwise that I was doing, no matter how much I was talking to people, there was still something that was keeping it from coming out. So she goes, well, try this. It's worked really well for me. And so the challenge was, doing it 3 separate times. I love this because the number 3 came up a lot. So 3 separate times, 30 minutes, staring at a blank wall, and you can't have more than 30 days in between times. And not focusing on necessarily what comes up, but allowing things to come up instead of stopping and writing and judging or valuing or criticizing or celebrating any of it, just allowing it to come up. And the number of excuses that I had was like, well, I don't have any blank walls. All I have is a blank wall in my hallway, and there's not, it's a narrow hallway, I'm not going to be able to sit. Okay, so excuses be gone, and we did the first session of me sitting in the hallway staring at the blank wall, and it was fascinating to see what happened. I focused on one particular spot on this. There was nothing. There was white. As far as I could see, either way, I've got excellent peripheral vision, so there was simply white everywhere. And then the darkness of the ending of the hallways into various rooms. But the number of colors and swirls and things that I saw on the wall while I was sitting there staring at nothing, allowing it just to flow through me. It was really amazing. Made me realize that even below the yabbits, even below the subconscious thought, there was a whole nother layer of creation that was going on that I had not tapped into, that I was unaware of. So anyway, meditating even has multiple ways of being done. And the deal is being honest with yourself when you're doing it on, okay, so what is my intention? Do I go into it with a question, or am I just allowing things to be? And if you're laying down and taking a nap, just be honest and say you're sleeping and you're not meditating. But, you know, that's me. So, Michaela, you went to go grab a book. What'd you grab?
Oh, well, isn't that a hoot? I think my book has disappeared with your product. I can't find it. I had it in my hand a couple of days ago, and I can't find it anywhere. Let me tell you what the name of it is: The Artist's Way. The Artist's... We talked about it.
Pages!
Morning Pages, exactly. And for any of you who have not found that book, we will have it next week. I'll make sure to absolutely have it in front of me so I can show it to you. The way I showed you, Stuart, here. It's interesting because there was a woman that I met who has got all these things going on in her head, and she knows her expertise. And she said, "Can you help me get it out and market it?" And I said, "Well, is you have to get a book." And I was trying to remember the name of it, and I went, "It's the art of," and she says, "Nah, I don't have any book like that." And then I looked at her and I went, "Oh, The Artist's Way." And she went, "Oh, I've had that book for 20 years on my shelf, I know." And she said, and we both got shivers. And it's a great place to start. Great place to start.
Yes, it is. Yep, my friend Garrett is coming into the States. He'll be here. I'll pick him up right after our next week's webinar. And
Awesome.
I've already warned him, when he's here, he's doing morning pages. It's like, what? Yeah. I've got my 10-year-old doing morning pages. So, yes, it's
very, very good.
It is an amazing tool for anybody trying to get through their own stuff.
Yes.
Michaela, we have done it again. We're getting close to pushing that 1 hour.
Yes, that was awesome. Very awesome. We promised we'd keep it to the hour.
Yep.
And we're doing just the hour today.
Yep.
And well, get out there and take some action. Take some action on your dream, even if it's writing some pages. I shouldn't say even so. I said that's the first step, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah, it kind of is. And realizing that, you know, if it's important enough for you to want to do it, there's going to be people out there that are interested in receiving it. And
there's something really quick I want to interject before we leave. I don't think very many of our viewers realize this about us, but we both have got martial art experience. And we both did Aikido. And it's interesting because when we first met each other, we were like, "Oh, I did that. Oh, I did that too. And oh, I did that. And I did that." And we had so many parallels, even though we live on opposite ends of the country. And the one thing about martial arts that the master will always say is always go back to the basics.
Yes.
Don't try to keep pounding those advanced stuff. Don't try to throw yourself in there too huge. All of those basics, they are the foundation for you to jump from. So thank you so much.
Yes.
And I'm done talking.
This is like the third time that I've seen the picture. No, I think this is awesome because it's like the third time I've seen this picture since we've been talking just today about the black belts. And within our dojo,
interesting. I guess I knew it was the third time that I wanted to bring it up, and I knew I had to say it before we left.
The view of the black belt was, you know, they all start with a white belt. And by the time that they've actually received their black belt grading, their belt would have been discolored so much that it was then viewed as black, showing that they had learned the basics, not mastered, not perfected.
Wow.
They had learned the basics. So
Wow.
take them off the pedestal,
The
guys.
black belt to the yellow belt to the brown belt to the black belt. I get it.
Yes.
Wow, I never heard that. Thank you.
You're
Wow.
learning the basics. So,
Beautiful.
and they're still working on the basics. That is the foundation of
Yes.
everything. So,
Yes.
as you're working on the basics, know that you're working on your foundation that will serve you in everything you do. And on that note,
Domo arigato. Namaste.
blessings to all.
Namaskar.
See you later,
Pranam.
guys. We'll
Maitri
see you next
Mangalam.
week.
Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye.